Hello, my beautiful Badgers Messy Coder, back again with another live dev interview. This time we're getting saucy with Saucelabs as we talk about Backtrace, the incredible error and crash reporting tool for games and mobile apps which would work with Unity, Unreal, you name it, do not worry. As well as Test Fairy. If you don't have 1,000 mobile devices in your home to test your game, don't worry, because that mobile device cloud, which is Test Fairy from Saucelabs, has got you covered. Sit back, enjoy, and I'll see you all in a second. Everybody sitting at home in front of your microwave PCs, your Google Watches, your Alexas, your Amazon mirrored TVs, give a warm and messy welcome to Saucelabs Backtrace Test Fairy. How are we gonna name you? Because this is a company that seems to be doing everything now. And how am I allowed to refer to you? I forgot to ask. Like, am I allowed to say your real name? Because you're also a game developer and you've got a game on Steam as well.
Right.
So,
no, I'm a public figure. So mattclark.com is where you can go. My name's Matt Clark, so you can introduce me. I have a website where you can see a robot I built using Unreal Engine 5. I don't think we really talked about it. And then you can download my game there as well. But saucelabs.com is the more important one. But yes, I'm Matt Clark. I'm a solutions engineer for Saucelabs. And yep.
I love it. And I love the fact that we straight away, within 1 second, went in with the plug.
The plug. It's worse. I can share my screen, and never mind. I'm not going to do that. Let's keep people focused on not trying to find the game yet. So.
Do you know what I did say earlier when we had a chat that I like to do raffles, and I forgot to ask, like, if you got your Steam game, if you got, because you're unlimited keys, if you wanted to give away some prizes of your game on Steam to try and flag you into that.
I'll definitely give you a couple Steam keys. I mean, for sure. Absolutely. That sounds great. Because
this community love finding bugs, and they will help you.
Yeah, there's it's interesting. I developed an internal test tool that cycled through the game, like levels and did all the unlocks and it's built on UDK. So the first version of Unreal Engine 3, it was like the first version where you didn't need a seat license that was really expensive to build a video game. And so, like I mentioned, it took me a better part of 5 years to build the game. And all the UI, all the rocks, all the maps, everything. It was really intense. And but I still have a point where you come out of the UI screen, and my game mechanic is a physics animation blending for fishing. And that's kind of like the main thing, that the game works a little differently. And every once in a while, you come out of the UI screen and the game is like not playable. Like I know I still have a little bug there. So, but it's like the line just stays on the ground and you can't pick it up. So I know there's still some stuff there, and I haven't quite figured out how to like wrinkle that out. I know it exists, but it's a timing issue. It doesn't happen very often. So save the game. If you play the game, save the game so you can relaunch it, and it'll pick up right where you left off.
So chat asking for a link. I put a link to Mac's website into chat, mattclark.com, and you know what, I'm going to kick open the web browser page and show you, because not only did Mac do all of you modeled all of the fish as well yourself. Did you animate the fish?
I actually caught a lot of them too. So I used to be a fly fishing guide in Oregon and Montana, and so it goes back to the idea of doing something you love, and we talked about it before, just when you and I had that quick chat, where you're going to visit something over and over and over again. You better have a tremendous amount of passion about it if you're going to be an indie developer. I'm not sure it was the best idea making a fishing game, but it was something that I felt I had domain knowledge over and that I could share ideas and share entertainment through. I have another idea when I do game design that's kind of like, if I can take your time and make it more valuable, I'm going to do that. So the simulator, as you're working through it, teaches you to fly fish. It goes through like chapter by chapter. And as you go through it, it's hopefully going to take say if you beat the game, it's going to take like 5 to 10 hours. Maybe it gets really hard towards the end. I make it progressively harder. But that 5 to 10 hours is going to be hopefully the equivalent of like 30 to 40 hour stream. I'm trying to teach you stuff there. So your time, so you boot up faster, if you will. So I try to make that time valuable in any different way.
I'm going to reject all cookies here. I've never fished. I've always wanted to. I want to take my kids fishing, but okay. I feel, do you know what? I've got the fear that as I pull back the fishing rod, that the fishing reel is just going to come with a hook and gouge my kid's eyes out, because that's how bad I am at fishing. So I think playing a computer game might be safer.
Fly fishing specifically, it's harder too. Like if you don't have the little rod and you cast, but with the fly fishing line, I've definitely hooked. I've put like a hook this big in the middle of my back before when I was teaching a lesson, and I've had multiple clients hook me. I've been hooked probably like almost a dozen times. The real small flies you can just pop right out, but the bigger ones, if they're not demarked, you have to pop them through the other side. And it's kind of squeamish.
So what other types of, I know we're going off in a little bit of a tangent here, but I'm fascinated. What other types of fishing is there? Like what is fly fishing versus, I don't know, other fishing?
Yeah, sure. Basically there's two types of fishing, fly fishing and I guess regular fishing. You can think of the difference between one, you use a weight to throw the line, usually monofilament, and you can go down really pretty deep. But with fly fishing, you're using the weight of the line to cast a weightless lure. And that allows that lure to stay on the top of the water, where you can't do that with a regular monofilament because it takes weight to throw. So it's kind of the equivalent of like you go like this when you like that, and the lure goes flying with weight, where you use your rod like a pole vault. It's a stop motion. The rod goes back and springs forward, and that throws a weighted line. Is that kind of give you like the difference between the two?
Yeah.
One allows you to fish top water. The fish will come up. Fly fishing, like there's a little weightless fly on it that we make out of feathers and animals, like that's old school, and the fish come up to the surface and will eat it. And you really can't do that with a monofilament line. It's a lot harder to do. So that's kind of the basic difference.
So the other type of fishing is the one that you won't accidentally gouge your children's eyes out.
I think you can do it both. I've seen some really gnarly. I've seen people with treble hooks through their thumbs, which is the regular fishing too. Both. Yeah, you need to be careful with the hooks.
That's awesome. So how did you get started with Saucelabs? Or like were you first Backtrace and then, because Backtrace got acquired? That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, Backtrace was acquired about a year and a half ago. Saucelabs made about 5 acquisitions to kind of tell the story that I'm going to hopefully tell today, which is they've pivoted to mobile, and so we're really interested in that space. Gaming is 60% of mobile. So I actually came on board after the acquisition. I came on board as a game developer evangelist to do this role. And then at the same time, they had me doing demos, and I eventually ended up going over to the solutions engineering side. They found out I had more skills in, I don't know, Linux and other things. So they're like, here, let's get you, working. So now I work with like Respawn Entertainment, Apex Legends, Roblox, Amazon, Lumberyard. These are some of the clients that I can say. I have a little sheet over here, and there's a lot of bigger ones that I can't say that are under NDA. And I work with them in their tech stack and basically getting them up to speed and running using Backtrace so they can see the value in it as on the solution side. And
Saucelabs more than just Backtrace, as you mentioned a moment ago, but you're also getting into that mobile. What are we going to call it? Mobile first, mobile world. You've got Test Fairy, which, do you know what? When I went to the Saucelabs website, there should be like a massive big thing saying Test Fairy, but even on this page, the URL doesn't say Test Fairy. It says App Distribution, and it's a little bit up here that says Test Fairy. It's got a great name. Test Fairy is an awesome name. It should be really promoted all over the place.
I'll put that out there as the feedback. I think Backtrace, it has more of that technical flavor to it. But yeah, we basically have the different product groups. We have API Fortress. There is some testing for live coding for websites. Saucelabs traditionally is a website company. They've been around for 10 years in the space. Our goal is the whole CI, continuous integration, continuous deployment model. We want to be the company that you come to for test throughout the whole life cycle of whether it's an app, a website, or a game. All of those, we want to be able to be the solution that, and our goal is what's called digital confidence. We want people to know that when they're using your app and your site, that you're having a great experience in the digital. So that's where we come in. And I think you and I talked, again, briefly referred to what it means in the App Store when that digital conference transfers over. If you have a 4 or 5 star rating, when a person comes up to your game or app, they are going to convert at a 90% level on the click-through. Yeah. If your game falls to a 50% level, if it falls to a 3-star or lower, that drops by almost half to a 50% people click and are willing to download an app with a 3-star or lower rating. And, if you get to 1 star, it's pretty much they won't do anything. So the idea there is that, with us, it's better probably to spend a little bit of money up front to publish a really high quality game and a high quality experience. And we're here to have that and work with people to make that happen. Either that, you spend twice as much money marketing on the back end, which for me, marketing dollars are precious. So I think it's more important. And we're trying really hard to do things like offer free model and free number of errors. You get 25 million with our plan, where you have free access, a free developer tier, and those sort of things to line up so that to help you grow, and you can get into the product. And as you grow, then you can start helping us out a little bit more. I think our licenses are very reasonable. I think it's $600 for a mobile license for a year, $1,200 for a basically full console license for a year. And then if you get bigger and bigger and bigger, then some of the people start doing like dedicated cloud instances, and that's pretty expensive. But that's when your game is generating traffic of almost maybe 1 million to 5 million errors a day, potentially, where you need that.
Yeah, when you're needing to pay the lots of money, you've got a big enough project that's justifying you spending some money.
You're making a lot of money at that point. That's kind of how that works too. So it's really exciting.
I've been playing with Backtrace quite a bit because I made a very silly little game for my kids to play, messy space shooter, and I didn't realize that I needed Backtrace. I put it on in my Unity project and just forgot about it. And then when I made the builds and gave the builds to my kids to play, suddenly Backtrace was telling me there were errors. However, the game was still working, and the kids were like complaining that some stuff wasn't working. The game was a bit buggy. As they're being bug testers, they were just saying, "Dad, it's lagging." I'm like, "It's not lagging at all. What are you talking about? What are you trying to describe as the problem?" And then when I popped into Backtrace, I saw a load of errors. Like, what on earth are these errors? These never existed in the editor, and these were only coming up in the builds, and only coming up when it was a multiplayer as well, like in a session. And if it hadn't been for Backtrace giving me those errors, I would never have found them, because I wasn't going to sit and go through the logs on their tablets to find possible errors that might or might not be there, because my children describing random behavioral issues that they couldn't articulate because they're 6 and 7 years old, like baby bug testers. That was amazing, but this is free.
Yeah, you're hitting on the value. Yeah, it's free for the 25,000 for the free dev tier. And one of the things that we do in a product that's really important that you mentioned is you spending time trying to do these things. And one of the biggest strengths we do is what's called deduplication. So if your game does have like 25,000 users and you have an error that's common, which you do mostly times in games, it will appear 25,000 times. So what we do is uniquely fingerprint that error and deduplicate that 25,000 times. So when you go to dispute it, you only have to triage the problem once. And I have an example of, I remember I mentioned the other little game that I built for Sauce.
Yes.
I have that one. Should we do a little screen share on that?
Yeah, let's
see. Oh, nope, I don't want that one. Yes, I do. Let's see if that...
Oh, hang on, let me pop over to another window. There we go.
All right. So can we see the game? I'm not sure.
I'm trying to get you nice and big. Chat will tell me if I make you too small. How's it looking, chat? Okay. I mean, do you know what I need? I need to put my glasses on because this is my gift from lockdown. Lockdown has made me now need to wear bloody glasses. Or
All right.
I'm blaming lockdown. It's a fact I'm also in my... I'm old. Let's just leave it at that. I'm old. Okay. Glasses on. So this, for those who do recognize it, is Unreal. There's a lot of Unreal users in the community now, especially with Unreal 5 and Nanites. Everyone's jumping ship and running over to Unreal as quickly as they can.
It's pretty cool. Unreal 5, I think its biggest strength, it's going to have a video compression in it. So those of you that are familiar with like LOD models, level of distance models, basically your hero assets, you're just gonna be able to drop those and use high polygons, just massive polygon count all the way through. In there, you're not gonna have to de-res and worry about polygon count anymore. Unreal Engine 5 in itself is going to compress those polygons for you in real time. So that's the cool thing. So as you see these objects farther away, as you walk up to them, they'll turn into those hero assets just by the level of detail built into Unreal Engine 5's rendering pipeline. It's super cool. But I also love Unity for other reasons, and I have a Unity game to show as well.
Do you know, I always feel it's cheating when people use Unreal because it makes everything look so nice.
Right. So this is just a quick game. I'm just, it's like a 15-second thing to show how an error pops into Backtrace. And I built it like in 2 days, just because I was able to leverage a lot of the assets.
Can you show how you actually put Backtrace into this project? How do you get Backtrace into your Unreal project? Does it run like a plugin? And you stick it in the folders?
I'm not quite sure where I could pull it up, but it's basically in the INI files. We just basically take over the default crash reporter. So you paste like 2 lines of code into the INI files, the engine config.ini file, I think. It's been a little while since I've done it, but
that's just two lines.
There's 2 lines, and you just overwrite the default engine, and you're up and running.
That's crazy.
So, and you just sign up for the tier. I can here. Let's see if we go to this side of it in the project settings under my integration under error submission. I don't want to click it because you guys would then see my secret key. There's a secret key here that you then put into that default INI file.
Oh, if you're on if you're sharing the window, not the screen on Discord, I can only see the main Unreal. So if you had a pop-up come up, we can't see that.
I just switched to a browser. Oh, okay. I shared the window.
Yeah.
Let me see if I could try to share it differently. Here, I'll just show you.
Don't share anything don't share anything that you shouldn't be sharing. I always do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure that I don't.
There's my credit card. It's always on screen as well.
So this is the screen now you can see for the back end, right? And right here this is the project settings. So I'm going to take you back here real quick. This is where you would see errors. This is Backtrace. So if I want to see the errors over the last 90 days, I have 3 types of errors that my game's been generating. And you can kind of get an idea here for that. And over here, if you come to the project settings, there is basically error submission right here. And that's where if I click this, I'm going to get in trouble because it would show you my secret key.
Ah.
So you would take that secret key and you would put that and paste it into the INI call, that 2 lines of code. And that's literally how you get going with Backtrace. It's that simple and that fast. And if you need to see any of the ideas about how to do that, here's all the different places where we show you our integration guides. So for Unreal, you would see that documentation here. So once you sign up for Backtrace for those free dev tier for 25,000 errors you would get for a month, then you would be able to see how we do Unity if you wanted to integrate there for Unreal. We also have some stuff for Linux that you can use, or custom engines, CryEngine. And then you can see that we do some JavaScript, some other ideas of Swift and Android. Basically, we try to develop things by platform and by language as well. And then here you can see we integrate for PS5, PS4, Xbox, Switch, Stadia as well. And this just kind of gives you an idea for all the different places. Then every single one of these is an integration guide. So if you want to get going in that direction, that's where you would go to it. The very first button in projects to the integration guide.
I learned also the hard way that by clicking those integration guides, it shows you your secret key as well. So right at the top, it has it ready for you. So I did that. I've done that previously before, where it's like, here you go. Let's set up a project live on stream. Oh, now everyone knows my key. It's cool. Kill that project.
Yeah,
Start it.
I know. That's It's funny. So yes, I try not to do that as well. Let me see if I'm going to switch back my screen to the game. Let's see, change windows, and then we'll just. I think this is yeah. And then let's just drop in. You ready for this part?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so I'm just going to play, like, got my fancy Ferrari, have my air support. This was supposed to be like Spy Hunter, like a 2D game where there's like tanks are shooting at you and helicopters, and you're just in a poor car. But anyways, as we come over here and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm crashing, boom, I actually coded it so that when there's an event on the lake that causes the game to crash.
Now it kicks up to your Discord now is showing me the Discord screen rather than that's how good the crash was, but it goes back to showing the Discord screen. Brilliant.
Did we? Okay, yes. So now basically I'm not sure if you can see the Unreal process has crashed screen.
No, it wouldn't. It's not. I think Discord stopped the share.
I got it. It crashed the thing.
You managed to crash Discord. That's how great it was. A crash. You know what? It's really impressive. Gotta say.
Sorry about that. So here's this little guy over here, which is the default crash reporter, and you can actually customize this too. If you want it to say your game and whatever, this is actually another thing you can customize. But we would send this off.
Oh, hang on. If you click back on the thingamajig on the window, it's gone again.
Oh, I closed it.
Oh, managed to get it. Here you go. Put it back on.
It's all these rough technical things. So I'm going to share screen. I'm going to share screen again. And this screen is.
Right. Well, show the error again.
Yeah, this is the actual error. So here, if we come in and we see during the last hour, you can see the crash that I just had.
So where does it show you the details of the crash? So you can actually see all of the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah. So right here, you can either choose to view it in the debugger, or you can debug it here.
Okay.
So if there's only one of them, so this is from the developer's perspective. This is the single most important thing. We do a number of different things. Like here, you can see that there's a fatal error, and you can see that I actually give you the line 37.
Yeah, I love that.
And I am going to crash because I hard coded the crash into the system. And you get the threads, the call stack, the register. So we provide what's called symbolication, so that you can actually come down below and see the full call stack, fully desymbolicated, so that you can be able to look and see the functions inside of there that were running prior. And we do a number of other things here as well. Attributes are how we sort of talk about inside of the system the metadata that exists that we basically put into Backtrace. So all of these things are you have an ability to sort and view errors versus all these basic statistics here, this data. So if we wanted to look at our app environment as release, right here, this thing I'm highlighting, that would be something we could do. You can check out different releases. It's really incredible the amount of information that you can bring back. And we store the metadata for the entire time the system the second you start. And we're the only people that allow you to go back and reprocess the metadata all the way back to the beginning of your project. So if you add an attribute here, and we're the only company too that basically allows you to put console, Android, iOS, all of those errors, if there's commonality between them, we bring those all back into that first window.
Is that part of the free, or is that the paid to
that's part of the free? Yeah, you could go through. I mean, if you're on all those platforms, it's just a default thing with Backtrace. I'm not sure if that switches to a different view there.
I can see.
I think
I can see.
So this is our Unity demo. And to just kind of give a highlight there, when we talk about that, we use a system here for querying, which gives a really incredible flexibility from a developer's perspective, because most of our competitors use buttons, and that's incredibly unflexible and it doesn't give you really good information to slice and dice data and get your arms around the bugs. But this is a little bit more confusing because you would have to know uname, sysname, E is equal to, and then here you can see we have iOS, Android, Switch, PS5, Mac OS, PS4. When I go to slice this, that's just all my PS4. That's all that is. So I basically took all those errors for any other platform and got rid of them. And the way we kind of overcome the button problem is over here, we have a shortened link, if you like. So you can just basically copy that, and that's just a little tiny link you can share with somebody. And also we have saved views. So if you have a person who's maybe more advanced that can really understand this query, needs to pass things off to QA, or you need to pass off to a person you don't think they might understand how to do queries in sort of like a SQL way, you could actually create a saved view, and then you can save that current view, and that allows you to pass off that information in sort of that button way. So you can create customized views.
And they need to have accounts on this Backtrace portal, like this session. So they need to have their own login, or is it like creating a public view as well?
Backtrace is so if I'm understanding the question right, it's a place for teams to collaborate.
Yeah.
So yes, one person in the team will need to go to Backtrace and log in and create credentials for starting up what we call a universe or an instance. And in that universe, one of the first things you'll be prompted for is to say your project name. And then from after that, inside of the organization settings, you can add users to the organization. Oh, I probably shouldn't show you all the others. Be careful about the users that I'm having in that demo. But anyways, basically, you could add users and teams in multiple projects from there.
That's awesome. And it's all of that is still part of the free.
Yes, all of that is still part of the free.
So, because that's the thing. Like normally, people come in and go, the free is just very stripped down because it's a way of getting people in the door and then try to sell.
Yeah, I mean, what we're trying to do is not that model. We give you the full power of the product. You want to integrate Android, iOS, and we want to work with people in this space, especially from indie. I'm an indie developer as well, right? So from that indie perspective, we really want to get people going and get you profitable and boot you up as much as possible. Because once your game is successful, you will reach a threshold where those 25,000 errors kind of fall out the door. And then you're going to, then you're $600 for a license for a year, or $1,200, for the consoles. That's not a big price to pay. It is per person though. So like if inside of the organization, as your organization grows, that's kind of the idea there. So we're pretty flexible. Again, we're really focused on the success, because the more success that you have, the better off the more successful we are. It's a hand-in-hand situation, the way we've developed it.
Yeah, you grow together. So
yeah,
and the basic success of that team, word of mouth, you get recommended and more people sign up, and then it just goes from there.
Right. As those indie developers come into the larger organizations, that sometimes happens. I mean, making an indie game is by no means a guaranteed success. It's a challenge. And when you're creating a game on an indie, unless you already have sort of AAA experience, you're probably on a tight budget, getting on board. So as you get going, and you become an advocate when you maybe perhaps do go on to an organization of a game studio size for Backtrace inside of that organization as well. So, yep, our goal is to get you early to enlightening on the product and using it and seeing the value. And then, down the road, that's kind of how that works, hand to hand as well.
Now, I'm still confused when it comes to the big collection of Saucelabs stuff, because Backtrace to me sounds like it's doing pretty much everything that I want to do, but I'm making a game that's going to, like you're saying, different platforms and mobile and desktop and everything. So why would I need to then use other Saucelabs stuff if I'm happy with my Backtrace?
Like I said, we're pivoting to mobile So I'm going to go ahead and launch the. Let's see. I'm going to share another screen here.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be Test Fairy, and
because I'm making a Unity game, and it's still on mobile. And now you're saying that backtrace doesn't matter if it's doesn't mind if it's mobile or not. It's because it would have. So Test Fairy, that still, it's my Unity game that I've made on mobile. It's still going to work with Test Fairy.
Yeah, the Test Fairy platform, it was originally booted up for mobile. We've recently added console support, but basically, if you have either the Android or the iOS, the APK or the iOS files, you put them onto Test Fairy, and then from there, it actually manages your Google Store and your Apple Store credentials all in one place, so you can have different builds and push those builds, whether they're dev, QA, or production builds. You can have them sit and retain inside of Test Fairy. I only have one build in here, which is a Unity game, to demonstrate. But as Backtrace, you can sort of think, the original intention of Backtrace was to catch bugs in the wild. In other words, you're being reactive in some level to the quality of your game. So, if you're shipping it, then it's really important that as you gain exposure to what I would call edge cases, or people with different graphics cards or different screen sizes, or whatever, all the different reasons that games crash other than just made on a developer's machine, as you go out and push those and see those and you start bringing back and getting rid of those errors, that's sort of a reactive mode. One of the things that Saucelabs, its mission is the CI/CD process, the continuous integration, is called shift left, and that is to be more proactive, so that we provide a testing framework, or we provide an ability for you to go in and test your game on real devices. And those errors still go into Backtrace, so you can still gain the query and the ability to see them and have visibility in them. But our idea there is to create a stronger story around mobile as well. So most of the acquisitions that Sauce has made is around the mobile story. Not sure if Sauce realizes that 60% of mobile is games yet, and Sauce is slowly becoming a gaming company. But the head of Backtrace was made the CTO of Saucelabs, so I think it's that's how we arranged this, was through Able. And but this is the screen here. We can kind of dive into the Test Fairy. We can talk about it. So here, there's a little device over here that says play this on a real device, and I'm going to launch that.
Now, importantly, I don't need to actually have a real device on me in my pocket to do all this.
Correct. The idea is to be able to use our real device cloud has 2,000 devices in it. And so those are real devices that are hooked up, and you can either do it through virtual USB, or you can do it in the manner that I'm doing right now. So you can see here that I have all of these are mobile real devices. They're all real Android devices. They have all different kinds of configurations. We can just kind of scroll down through them and see some are in use. This is our public real device cloud. We do have a private device cloud where actually you could take that phone out of your pocket and ship it to us, and we put it into our device cloud, into a private thing that's only dedicated to you. So if you had something that was very, very, very sensitive, like if you were banking space, we do wipe all of these devices afterwards. But if you were just it's built into the system that the privacy doesn't get shared. But for some reason, if you are very, very sensitive to that nature, we do offer that as well. We call it a private device cloud, where you can have that. And we're setting me up with it right now. I am recently come on board. I started with Backtrace. I've been doing stuff with Backtrace now for 6 months, in terms of helping out other devs. And really, it's only in the last couple of weeks that I've even got access to the device cloud to show you this. And honestly, just started putting the games up there right now. But I think a Google Pixel 6 would be a cool one to start the test on. And so this is an actual real device that we're loading it onto right now, this game.
This is nuts. I gotta just cut you out there, because I gotta say, right? I've seen these kind of things before in my work life, and you don't get that big a list of different devices to choose from. I was just looking for like different Kindle versions on there as well, and I wouldn't have to need to go out and get, because I don't have an iPhone. but I want to make iPhone stuff. So I can just go on here and go, okay, choose the iPhone on the list.
Yeah, and for the iPhone as well, there's an ability, I think. Well, anyways, you could actually choose the OSs as well. So it's not just iPhone 13 Pro Max. You can have that device, and you can sit back and say, well, is it running iOS 15 or is it running iOS 14? And you can choose to pop the different OS levels on them too, so that you can go backwards, right, and see if there's any errors on older OSs that's happening as well. So it's really trying to get that full coverage. I sort of recommend that you do like kind of extremes, like use the latest and greatest, and then start tracking backwards, or go to the extreme. What's the worst device that your game can run on? And then that's a good way to kind of get that idea. Plus, it makes sense if you need to sit back and say, hey, in the App Store, when I tell a person where's my minimum support level, and it's like, hey, it's this Google Pixel 3 as an example. That's the last thing that this game will run on for either RAM issues or video texturing or whatever it is. But your game appears to run really well on these devices and not others.
Does it perform worse than if I had the real device in my hand? Like, is it less performant? Like,
no, the way you're actually loading. I wish I've seen how to do it. Again, I'm just really new to this part, but I could actually show you the device. There's a way for me to get in here and stop the end this, and I ended it. But there's actually a way for you to get to the screen, the start screen, and show you the device. Basically, your game is loaded on the device, and there's a little bit of a piece of where we're piping that device into our real device cloud, but that's it. And the overhead of that is negligible on performance.
Wow.
So you're really getting a good sense of that, how that device works for your game. It's on that level.
We got a question in the chat about Chris says. He says, realize the answer is likely no, but could you choose a Hackintosh? Which it goes to like, what kind of devices are these? All official devices, or are they?
Oh, right. So in this case, we're just talking about mobile devices.
Yeah.
So any supported mobile device out in the real world that a customer is going to see, you're going to be limited to iOS or Android inside of our real device cloud for that. I would love to see actual consoles on there, and maybe someday we'll put like a PS5 and a PS4.
Oh, a Switch! Oh my word!
But if you remember those testing kits for Xbox, when you get one, you have to unlock the dev machine with your own credentials. They're very locked down to a particular user, and so it's going to be problematic for us to put consoles onto our real device cloud. So that's just one of the things where, I don't think you're going to be able to support like PC and Hackintoshes and that kind of stuff in the device cloud. This is mainly mobile focused.
What about Chandroids?
What's that?
Chandroids.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe if you decided to build one and send it to us, we'd put it in there. But
I've got quite a few, because especially when I lived in Europe and the Middle East, there's a lot of cheap and Chinese Androids.
Oh yeah, no, we have a ton of. I mean, we could go back and look at that. We have some of those in there for sure. A lot of real cheap. The cheap Androids you're going to see in India and China. We have those in there as well. We just don't have anything that's like, unlocked or hacked or whatever. They're all real standard OSs. And you can actually select by OS a level as well for what device. If you choose device over here.
And you're not paying for each individual one, are you? The account isn't like, I don't have to say, okay, I want to have an account that allows me access to 6 of these devices. If I've got an account, I've got access to everything. Is that right?
Yeah. Once you have an account, you have access. So this screen here is showing you all the devices that you would have access to. So you can see OS version. I switched to iOS over here, and you can see the OS version. If you want a device that was just we'll go back to OS 11. Apparently, there aren't any of those on there. I should probably no real device available right now for that. But here's, for 13.2, here's a device running 13.2 for you.
Do you know what you need? You need a little brackets next to each one that shows you what the
right. It says what they're doing. So there's no iOS Amazon ones. But iOS, Android, Amazon, you can choose by brand as well. So Google and Amazon, if you wanted just to see the Google devices. If you wanted to do it by resolution or tablets, all of these are active filters that you can set ahead of time so that you can choose to run those devices and you can see how they're filtering. So that gives you that idea of you being able to use like this brand here. Can we go back to Android?
Yeah, I've got some ones that are, you could change the Android. You're on an iPhone.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, thank you for that. I was like, what happened? It should be there. So here's some of those lower end devices that we're talking about. And you can select those out.
Those are high end, mate. Xiaomi's are,
all right. I'm not a mobile developer.
I mean, those are the ZTEs are going to say the more of the cheaper okay. Chinese Androids.
There we go. So here's some cheaper ones.
There you go. There
we go. So I showed you the expensive ones. Darn it. So that's and then over here we do also have a mobile virtual, but I don't have that tunnel proxy set up for it right now. I'm just booting up. This is all kind of a new space for me as well in terms of being able to use these. But if you look, I think we talked about it before. It's a good chance to just kind of paint maybe a future vision of what we're trying to accomplish. There's a couple things that are going to happen. This is the Saucelabs core. One, Backtrace is going to end up in here. We're going to be integrated into these things, so we're hopefully going to be able to click just Backtrace onto your apps, and you'll get it installed as we move into that world. And the CI/CD process is shift right, and then there's shift left, and that basically the shift left is to start being proactive to capture them before they get out in the wild. So what does that look like? It looks like Test Fairy running on Real Device Cloud, pushing errors into Backtrace. But then also some sort of framework for testing, for automated testing. The same thing exists today in the web world. So one of the things that we're looking at is like, machine learning or AI bots that potentially could push errors, play your game for you on these real devices while you're out having maybe a pint at the pub, whatever, and this thing's testing for you over here, running all those errors and pushing them into the system for you. Into that automated testing framework. So that's kind of the stack that we're really trying to shoot for, is basically, to give you the highest, the confidence that you have, and more importantly, the digital confidence that your customers will have in using that app in the mobile game or the game in general, to basically, keep that 4 and 5 star ratings going, so that you have that experience being, a very beneficial and, for your customers. That's just kind of the name of the game at this point.
Do you know what? It's blowing me away. Like, I didn't realize just how much access you get, and like you were saying, you've got the different tiers for pricing as well. So I'm thinking about me. I don't care about the chat anymore. I don't care about the viewers. I don't care about is me right now, because I'm a greedy person. What do I need then to start taking advantage? Because Backtrace, I've got my free Backtrace tier. I'm happy, not paying a penny, not doing anything, not costing me anything in there. Now I want to start pushing out and testing on some real devices.
Yeah, so we are, and I had to get clearance for this to be able to say this. We are basically going to be doing a free dev tier market, a free self-service market for indies and other people that want to use these products in the exact same way that Backtrace is formatted today with that 25,000 errors. It's not here today. You cannot run Test Fairy or the Real Device Cloud without some sort of payment right now, but within, I think, the next 6 months, we will be moving toward what we call a self-service model. Where you're going to be able to have a free dev tier and be able to get into all of the different sauce products and try them before you buy them, basically, or have that support for while your game is, or app only has the lower threshold of errors. But that's coming, that's crazy. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff coming too that I can't talk about. So it's like I'm now a keeper of secrets, but that is one thing I can tell you. But then there's some really other cool stuff coming down the pipe that is also really amazing.
Tell me.
We have a network. I have a network error. Is that on my end?
Um,
I'm just relaunching my Twitch.
oh no, yeah, you might be on your. Looks okay to me on mine.
Okay. Just it says network error. So yeah, I'm over here running errors on Twitch too. Great. So maybe Twitch needs backtrace. So let's tell them.
So, when it comes, I don't know much about the iPhone and testing on iPhone, like how you get your test builds on the Apple for your games and things. So, if I'm wanting to make my mobile game and test it on one of these Apples, how do I? Because I'm assuming that I won't be able to link these test machines, these mobiles, to my iCloud account because it's yours and in your cloud thing. So
Test Fairy links to Apple and the Google Store so that you can push your builds directly from Test Fairy into the store without having to go through the Apple or Google interface or Apple or Google web page interface. So
it's all taken care of.
What's that?
So it's all taken care of.
It is, but as far as the testing frameworks, right now, I mean, you would have to run those tests manually if you're going to like have an iOS game. We don't have a test framework right now for iOS. It's an automated test framework. We have something that works for like screen space. So if you wanted to do like XY coordinates and like have the thing click for you, we have Appium and some web frameworks that we use. Say like you created a 2D version of a game, it would work. But we are working on, right now, kind of getting an idea of how to get a testing framework for games for like iOS on the front end that would be able to do the Z-axis. You'd be able to push into a screen and slice it. But that's on the roadmap. That's in the future. That's why I kind of said I want to talk about the future. I don't, necessarily think that it's not something baked today.
Yeah.
If you were to do it like a real device, or you would have to play your game in real time across the different devices to see those edge cases. And Test Fairy has a set of error reporting as well that it does. But you can either have Test Fairies, and Test Fairy will do screen recording. So you can actually, if you're in a place where you're not having sensitive information appear in your game or capture that doesn't need to be shared for privacy reasons, you can enable live video preview. And so you can get an idea of when a player quits playing your game. I think it's another pain point for a developer. Yeah, I kind of want to know that myself.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so when do I lose my player? How do I lose my player? And then I have that screen recording of the whole time they're playing the game. I can go back and look at it and start seeing any pain points that they have that I didn't think of. Again, that's predicated on you having a game that doesn't have any information in it that would violate the privacy rules.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, this is all GDPR safe. You're not capturing IP addresses and personal.
Yeah, no, we have multiple credentials for all the privacy stuff. For like security, we're audited by third party and credentialed through the roof for this stuff. So this is like it's our bread and butter. So we can't break that. There is some way of saying though that you are ultimately responsible for that if you do a video recording on your own and you don't or aren't aware of the privacy concerns and you capture something you're not supposed to. That's on you, not on us. We're just like providing you the tools. So please don't do things that are stupid or whatever. We'll work with you to try to define, that. But in Backtrace, we have a set of information on there that says, enable these scrubbers, scrub all IP addresses, scrub all credit cards, take usernames, change them to and that comes by default with Backtrace when you're running on Backtrace. But you just need to be, cognizant of it when you're running something like, okay, what does it mean for me to be recording screen shares? Screening 10 minutes worth of playing time with the player. Will I be cognizant of what those privacy how those privacy concerns can be in there? So if you build something like, a credit card piece of information or a payment system that's going to have those sensitive fields in there, and you record that's that would be a bad thing.
Yeah, don't be stealing people's credit cards is always good advice.
Yeah, most of the payment places now, in terms of games, it's like, a one-click type of deal. It doesn't really, have that sort of privacy, the privacy information. But that's one thing inside of Test Fairy, is that video recording that I think would be extremely powerful for me inside of my own game. Unfortunately, UDK does not compile against source and does not use those ini files. So I actually don't have Backtrace set up on my game on Steam right now, and I really wish that I could, right? And I've looked into it. In order for me to do it, I would have to get source code license, which I actually Epic was kind enough to give me. But then one of the other providers of the assets, like all the trees that I built in the game, there's a certain person out there that's out in the world, some people might know about, that has that. They wanted a lot of money. They gave them away free within UDK, and then I used them. But the second I said I have a source license for Unreal Engine 3, they were like, well, okay, write us a check for, this huge amount. And I was like, I can't justify that to integrate, to be able to, build off of source. So UDK used, you can inherit from classes inside of what was called UScript, which was like a C Java hybrid. And then they had another thing called Kismet, which is the Blueprint is the modern equivalent inside of Unreal Engine 4 and 5. You use blueprints and visual scripting, which I think is pretty cool. I wrote a little thing or helped write, I should say, inside of Backtrace where we can do an attribute where we give you like the events leading up to a blueprint crash happening, because that's a different type of crash than say a C++ crash in native code. So kind of cool. So there's like the ability for you to see the stack for like a blueprint crash that we did.
That's nice. My wife just barged into the door. She came in and she said, I know you're streaming and you're live, but the UK are currently winning Eurovision. So I have to apologise for everyone who are wanting to watch Eurovision by watching this stream instead. I appreciate you all taking your time out, picking us over Eurovision. And spoilers if you were waiting for the VODs, but my wife just came in and blurted it out while the microphone is on. So I apologise for that. Now you obviously are more of a Unreal, having used Unreal, but
I am.
We've got a question in chat, mate, saying obviously Backtrace seems to offer a lot more at your free tier compared to the Unity Cloud diagnostics. But what would you say are the major differences and advantages? If you haven't used the Unity Cloud diagnostics, don't worry. So, but like, what is the difference between using Unity?
Backtrace. So it's a great question. Backtrace itself, the best integration that we have inside of the product is actually Unity. I actually have a Unity shirt that I wear because I know all the Unity reps, and I built some stuff with them now. And I really like Unity as well, right? I mean, the footprint of the Pac-Man game, it was 25 megs. It's super tiny, right? You're not going to get that with Unreal. But to kind of backtrace the question, backtrace the question. To kind of get back to the question, we are Unity's, they call us a VSP, and we are one of their biggest partners. And the cloud diagnostics doesn't get nearly as much love. There's a lot of things that people don't end up getting. One could be an example of native crashes. We have an ability for you to see native crashes inside of Unity. In some cases, when it happens inside of cloud diagnostics, you have to try to send a message to them and say, what is this error? And it takes a long time for them to get back to you. The partnership with Unity is getting stronger. And again, I'm a keeper of secrets, but we generally do a much better job when it comes to capturing and deduplicating errors. If in terms of the business, like the whole idea of capturing a call stack, as an example, if it's even off by a frame or two, we will turn that into a new error. And so with our competitors, a lot of times you'll get like a big blotch of errors that look the same, but they're really not. And then you have to kind of try to untie this knot inside of their buttons to try to break these out. We have just a simple way of seeing similarities inside of call stack, and then you can just add those pieces of information together. Also, cloud diagnostics isn't going to give you the same way that hey, I want to know Android, iOS, PS5, Stadia, all of the different places that you can have. We bring all that back in our UI console for you to see and visualize and get your arms around the bugs. Unity Cloud Diagnostics doesn't have that, right? And we have really tight integrations with Slack and Jira. If you're using Jira as you get a little bit bigger or whatever, and you want to have a QA department, you need to write a ticket. There's a bunch of things in there that we have, but
I
primarily,
love that. I love that that integration of being able to create tickets and then assign them to different people.
right. And the ticket, when it gets created, has all the call stack and information that you need to get back to the developer. So if you have a QA and they're like filling that back out, then that Jira, and it's a two-way integration. So we just recently had basically if a change is made on the ticket in Jira, it shows up in Backtrace now.
I gotta say though, there is a there's a cheeky thing. If I don't want somebody to have access to the backtrace, I can just have them having access to the Jira where they get the specific information from the Jira integration with Backtrace. They don't necessarily then have to log into Backtrace to see everything because they're getting a lot of that info in the ticket that gets created.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, you know.
Is that intentional or am I being naughty if I do?
No, no. There are people like we support other stuff, right? So let me if I get cheeky with it myself, like we offer S3 buckets, right? So let's say you had one license and you didn't want to share, you didn't want to buy 10. You could dump a bunch of things to S3 bucket and try to go through those things and provide their access. Really, it's a matter of speed. It's is it really worth that pain of saving a few bucks to lose the speed by kind of developing a workaround? I think the answer is no. But we're also here to work with developers as they grow too. That 25,000 thing isn't just necessarily a hard limit. We're here to like work with you. There are certain things when you exceed, although the errors when you exceed them we cut you off. But like if you in that cut you off, you just don't get visibility for the rest of the month, and then it re-clicks and you have another month's worth. But if you, let's say for storage retention or other reasons, if you go over, we don't just automatically, the real hard line is only errors in that sense. So
you're not cutting people off straight away.
What's that?
You're not cutting them off,
Yeah.
That's it, you're dead to me.
We're help you guys grow. I mean, the same thing. I mean, I'm very empathetic to the space, I think, because I think that's the greatest strength when I'm talking to other developers is to be able to relate to them because I've been through this myself, right? So we're not out to get you. We're out to help you. And that's kind of the main point. And I empathize with the pain points of other people with budget and so forth and such. And yeah, no, I think absolutely, do what you need to do to get your game to a point and then look at it and say, well, isn't it just faster if I have another license to backtrace for this? And the answer is, as you grow is going to be yes, hopefully. And did they support, were they here for us? I mean, I hear from our competitors all the time, or our clients all the time, that our competitors don't show up. The reason why we win deals is because we bring people and we walk you through and we support you in this. So, I mean, we run trials and proof of concepts and stuff on that nature. So if you have like even like a 4-person studio, your game is, getting ready to launch, we'll do a 2-week trial with you where, where we bump up your errors to 1 million and I help you integrate the things that you need, whether it's a Jira or a Slack or Unity or Unreal. And, and we try to, yeah. I'm not saying I can't have 1 million people do all with me at the same time for the some of the stuff. But I mean, if you really are close to launching a game into production and, on that sense, and not for game jams or anything. Speaking of that, we have a game jam coming up, I think in a month as well. You can check the backtrace.io website.
I was going to ask you about the game jam because when we had a private chat, you were telling me these amazing prizes that you have in your game jam. Obviously, I'm going to win the next game jam, so everyone knows that you gave away a PS5 before.
We gave away a PS5 and I think $1,000 to the. I can't remember what it was. I remember there being like $2,500 in prize money, and also a PS5. And then we ran another thing called Breakpoint, which is really super cool, where we have like the top people from Unity and Unreal, and all these people come in, and we have like a day or two worth of these talks. I think we do it like once a year. We also give away a PS5 there and $2,500.
Oh wow!
In prizes as well.
Save those in your calendar, people.
Right. So Breakpoint and game jams. We're running 2 game jams a year, and then the Breakpoint happens at the beginning of the year.
So we've already missed Breakpoint for this year.
Yeah, you can go back to the website and look. I mean, there's some really good talks. What's that?
You got the VODs. They're up, so you can watch the videos. They are there. I think if you go to the Breakpoint.io website and you look back, you'll see the videos.
They're on there somewhere. I'm sorry, I don't have them off the top of my head to be able to pull them up, but I know they're on the website somewhere. They were recently, like it was 2 months ago, they were posted, the latest ones. So there is a. We also have a. What is it? The Vimeo, whatever that one is, and there's some on YouTube as well, but most of them are on the that other video on demand place that I can't pronounce very well.
Vimeo, yeah. The one that they start trying to charge you to do stuff now.
Yeah, well, I mean, they pay.
I just went to breakpoint.io and it says the domain is available for sale. So obviously, I've gone to the wrong one. But never mind.
I could try to pull it up. Let me see if I can pull it.
While we're looking for that, Sunday says that's very cool. Thank you for answering about the Unity Cloud Diagnostics. It also says he hasn't used either, so he's possibly asking a stupid question, but really appreciated your feedback because now we know. And it's yet another reason why to use Backtrace. And I got a query though. If I had my own little team in a game jam, would we all be able to use the free tier of Backtrace because we're a team of, say, 5 people in a game jam?
So that's the one we actually require you to use it. That's the one requirement is you have to integrate. And the thing there so that you can use it so you get exposure to the product. That's what we want. So that you have to out of that team of 5, one of you has to get Backtrace going, and then we basically.
Still free? Is it still free though?
Yeah, it's free, of course.
So I can have 5 people using this Backtrace project, and I'm not having to then.
So the license for the free dev tier is 1. Now that I think about it, when we do trials, we bump that to 5. But yeah, you're still on a single seat license. So I mean, technically, you could integrate. You could start 5 different universes for 5 members of your team. But no, you can't really. That dev tier is really made for that single person, the free tier at this point.
Can I have multiple Backtrace let me kick open while you look for that website.
Yeah.
Hopefully I won't expose my secret code.
It's just the Breakpoint sessions right now are under. If you just Google Breakpoint backtrace.io with a space between Breakpoint space backtrace.io, the very first result is Breakpoint backtrace.io, and those are all the
push me the link in Discord.
Oh, sure. You individually or to?
No, yeah, you can stick it in the Discord. If you try to post it into the Twitch, it will time you out for posting a link.
All right, here I sent you the.
Awesome. I'll tell you what though, if you subscribe to my Twitch channel, if you've got Amazon Prime, you get a free. If those people don't know, do I have a command for that? No, I don't. I don't have a command for Prime. I suck. All the other Twitch streamers do it. You do ! Prime, and then you get to see all about if you get a free subscription with Amazon Prime. Wow, no wonder I'm not partnered with Twitch. That answers it straight away. Right, I've kicked open my project. If you can see, I won't share my Discord screen with you in case it messes up what you're sharing with me, because we can't both share at the same time. But I've put in a empty game object, and I attached the Backtrace client, and then I drag in my config. Tell me, so if you can see the stream, tell me if it's come up with the Unity, because there's always a lag. There is a delay.
I've lost my so on my
on the tablet on your iPad you can't see the.
My iPad went belly up on me back when I told you I had a network error. So
okay.
I haven't been able to see the stream here for a little bit. I actually have people in my company waiting for me right now. We're having an offsite.
Oh man, I'd best be letting you go. Right, let me do this.
No. This is way more important, and I'm actually having a lot of fun. So. Let's. I'm just reconnecting to the internet in my hotel. As long as people are seeing value out of this, I'm totally on board.
Dude, I'm loving it. You know what? I was like, I'm a massive Backtrace fanboy because of how it saved me with my messy space shooter. When you have a real life problem, you become a massive advocate, a supporter of something. start championing it. But now, Test Fairy, dang man, that and getting those virtual mobiles and devices. That's where
You'll be one of the first people I'll let you know when we have the free dev tiers there.
Oh, I'm gonna be. Do you know what? I'm gonna be asking the missus if I'm allowed to get my Christmas present early and try to
I'm
get
back.
myself.
I see you're messing with tiles inside of Unity.
Well, this is just a massive plane with a texture on it, so it's not if it starts. But here, like, I'm not exposing my secret code. I've got an empty game object, and I attached the backtrace client script. Do I have just one of these? Like, could I have 3 of these backtrace client scripts going with 3 different backtrace configurations, and it will send the same errors to 3 different backtrace accounts? Or is it only one per project?
Great question that I have no idea the answer. I don't know. I will tell you that inside of Unity, we do have a way to customize, different metadata, so that instead of, if you're trying to find a way to work around the C license, again, I'm not sure if I could answer that question, but that being said, inside of the metadata itself, so there's an idea, like, let's say you had a red car and a blue car and you had a finish line. You want to attach a custom attribute to a function or a method or to the finish line. Any value inside of your game, whether it's a variable or a result, can turn into a metadata inside of our system for us to process, so that you could know if that car was getting ahead of the car or failing to even reach the finish line. Any piece that we have some code that you could put into your functions or methods or events, if you will, and that allows you to put those values over to a metadata inside of your code that then you could then get those information back from our system. So that's another way of just doing it the legit way, I think, is the question you're kind of asking.
I wasn't trying to sneak my way around licenses.
We're talking about, because we do the game jam is a 4-person team generally.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I'm kind of surprised that I'm thinking this in terms of I don't remember pushing them up to 4. Most people in the game jams are massively surprised by the errors that are generated. They're like, oh, I had no idea that there's this many errors in the game. Because those cases where we're on our end playing them with our laptops or whatever and hitting them, when you're coding, you really have a blind spot to it. I'm an old school coder. Like, I do the hello worlds and I log all my stuff and do things, and that's how I do it. I keep building I never try to, once I have a bug, I go back and solve it or take it out of the code entirely if I can't get the bug generally. But like I said, out of that UI, there's some timing issue between my UI and my game mechanic that is, wasn't in my code. It was something that's a functional part of the engine. And that's where you need to catch those errors to be able to go back and say, oh, something happened here that broke the experience, or where's my player, where have they quit playing? What am I covering here to basically make this a higher quality game or experience? And we give you visibility into those things that you don't see, and people in those game jams are just surprised by those sort of what the data they see and the errors that are reported.
I'm going through all of the different tick boxes and stuff on here. There's so much.
Yeah, our tightest integration is with Unity, like right out of the box. I mean, you get everything is basically right there in terms of Android, iOS, and all of those things are like brought backward. With like Unreal, we have SDKs for each one of those, so that that information actually you have to integrate code to each one of your projects for Android or iOS. Unity is just as simple as you showed. So Unity really is, again, I can't. We are just incredibly tight with Unity.
People might be worried, thinking that if I'm writing my code and an error comes up, it won't count unless you're in play mode. So if I'm in my script and I've done something stupid, like put a colon in one place or deleted a variable or renamed it and haven't remembered to change all of the instances or references to that variable, it won't count in your backtrace. You're not going to start going, oh, I'm using up my numbers. It has to be in play mode.
Yeah, and think about it. That's not what we're worried about it anyways, right? Because even if you put like 100 of those, that's only 100 errors, and you're hardly ever going to do that. It really where the power shines is where you have 1,000 to 2,000 people playing your game, or even 100. That's the sort of stuff where you're going to generate the errors that are in the 10 to 25,000 range, where you're going to get those errors into the system. It's not I wouldn't worry about your onesies twosies. I don't really know. I know that we capture errors from editors in Unreal. I'm not sure about Unity. I think we do as well, but again, I don't think one or two errors from you is a big deal. Where you really want to try to use the product is where
you're underestimating how many errors I can generate. I can generate a lot. Do you know what's annoying though?
Send me a DM and I'll reset your thing back to 25 when you hit it.
Since I've put backtrace in, I'm not getting any errors though. Since I've put it in, I'm not getting any. I've put too much error handling in my. I'm getting used to putting error. Here we go. I've done this on purpose to generate some errors. Okay, so to avoid me getting these errors, I coded in some error handling. So I just removed that, and now I've managed to generate some errors. So I'm going to try and log into my backtrace account.
There you go. Now you're going to show me. We're going to hire you as a demo guy pretty soon. Yeah. That's what you're working on a job for Backtracer.
I'll tell you what. I'm currently I'm in my gardening leave, so I'm looking for a job. If you want to, feel free.
Hey, we're looking to hire people.
There you go.
So we have an EMEA solutions engineer role open right now, which is Europe.
And I'm in Europe. And
you're in Europe,
and Eurovision is just done. And let me put the.
Send the application. The people here we need meter reps pretty bad.
Here we go. I got your beautiful face back. So let me try and log back into my.
I'm trying to tell the people on my company.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to let you go.
No, you're good. You're good. No, this is good. I'm just letting you know.
Do you know what? I can't even remember my blinking login. So I'm gonna have to share a different screen.
Now I see myself staring at my phone. That's a bad look.
Lovely. Okay, so chat window. I got these. Look, here we go. Comes in with a null reference exception. I've got some of these.
So the answer was yes. It does come into the system. If you change your date to the last hour, not the last 7 days. You see up there by the administrator, the top left-hand screen, top left-hand part of the screen where it says last 7 days. Yeah. Change that to the last.
Do you know what? I've got going for the last day because I still want to see this one.
Yeah. Nope.
Where's my one that I just got now? I should have my new error. Should be coming up. Does it take a while for it to?
No, it's instantaneous.
Yeah, where's my new error?
Near instantaneous. It's near instantaneous. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. You might have just talked yourself out of that job.
No, do you know what? My job is to break things, and therefore I've broken it. Refreshing. So here's my. You've got 0 errors. There's my error from earlier. Got my null reference. Good. This was 12 hours ago, before I fell asleep after the football. I won't give any spoilers if anyone's waiting to watch the football.
Is that the same error? Can you make that same error again and see what happens?
This one, I can't recall. I was just mucking about with my get leader thing. Where's my? Oh no! Do you know what it is? I broke backtrace by playing about with the config. Hang on.
Yeah, that's
my problem. Okay, now click play.
The nice thing is my Twitch is back to almost being in real time. Right. It was like a full 30 seconds behind for a second for me there.
All right, so there should be some nice errors coming in. All right, generate me some. Got now. Refresh. I broke it. All errors. There we go. What about that? No, I've broken it. Why have I broken it? No, remove the filter. That's my problem. I had a filter in.
No, yeah, remove the filter. No, it's right there. Just take an X. Take an X on the. It's either on your.
There we go. That was a problem. See, the errors were there, but they were just filtered. I was mucking about with all the different filters.
Oh, that's funny.
There you go. So
there you go.
There's all my different errors. And what I love about all these is that it's showing me everything. I love it. It's
the other thing I forgot to mention, which is super cool, is in that fingerprint that we do, when those buttons, there was resolve, mute, or whatever, like you can tell the system the bug's been resolved. And if that error shows back up with that unique fingerprint, it alerts you that you've had a regression in your code.
Oh, lovely. That's awesome. Can you customize it so that it makes it like a wah 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 alert noise? Like, you thought you fixed it, but you didn't.
That's a good one. No, you can actually do some cool rules inside of Slack and any of our metadata. Like if you say, I want to know if an error goes over the 10,000 threshold, as an example, and send me a Slack or create a Jira ticket for just this. Any of our metadata, you can also filter through creating rule sets for both Slack and Jira as well. So there's a version of that. It's not a want, but it's like, hey, only tell me when it's really important stuff over here and send me a Slack for it. That's kind of cool.
Dude, do you know what? I'm in love with Backtrace. If I could sit there and take it for a nice meal, I could, because it is so useful and it's free. It's useful and it's free for like me needing to use it in my bedroom. I don't need to pay for it, and it does, and I get what I need for it.
Yeah, and you think once you start solving 25,000 errors, you probably have, maybe hopefully 1,000 people playing your game.
Exactly.
And then, you're probably making 20, let's say your game's 20, you're making 20 grand. Are we worth 600 to, up your tier for, 1 million errors after that? So then your game grows and, that tier is that next level. So, I mean, it just makes sense, right? We're here to support you, to take a tiny, tiny slice of the pie as you grow. You give it mainly to you. That's the value proposition.
I cannot just shout loudly enough about how much I love it. It really is fantastic. So, and that
screen you're on now shows error-free metrics. So basically, it's that same number I just said, like 1,000 people using it, and you have 25,000 errors. That's you're getting like 5 errors per person or something. Or no, 25 errors per whatever I'm trying to say. Basically, you're trying to drive these numbers for error-free launches. So if you have that 50% number, you want that number to go up to like 90%. So that's one of the things that you're trying to drive Backtrace in a way that when your game's at like 50% errors, like you're error-free launches, but you're not, only 50% of them are error-free. Then you're like, okay, why? And then how do I drive this number to 95% as fast as possible? That's kind of the goal, right? You want the overall experience. You're never going to get to 100, in my opinion. There's always going to be somebody out there with a horrible graphics card or something of that nature that's just, your game's going to just chunk on out of the nature of the fact somebody tried to play it on a system you don't support. But you're, outside of the edge cases, the majority of these application launches, you want error-free. And so 95% is where we see the games that are those 4 or 5 star ratings. I can go in and look. Like it's X Legends, I can't go in and look, actually. I never have. But technically as an admin, I could go in and look. But for the other clients that I'm consulting with, some of the ones that I do have rights to go in and look, I'm looking at these 95% error, that's the games that are succeeding. I do have a couple games that I've helped support that are in the 50% level. Weirdly enough, the people, I'm not sure they care. It's like these virtual avatars that appear like in some of the countries that I work in. They have like where you put your phone up and like the person is like dancing on a screen, like, you know what I mean? Like the AR, and they don't really care if the person's not doing the correct dance move, I guess. Well, there you go. So 97.8. Look,
This is my
you just
messy
did-
space shooter. I was going to tell you the other thing that I use Backtrace for is spying on my kids. So I make them the game, Messy Space Shooter game. My youngest said, "This is the best game ever. This is my favorite game," and he was playing it non-stop for about 3 days. Him and his brother. And then I log into Backtrace and I have a look, and there's no new sessions. There's no new. There's no one. There's no activity, and I'm able to see that my kids have just stopped playing my game. And so I'm using Backtrace to basically monitor: are you playing Daddy's game that he made you? No, you're not. You're not getting anything.
There's that too. We do support those integration. You can actually dump stuff off the Datadog for analytics. There are people that come to us and ask, "Hey, we really want to use your this for analytics," and we're like, "Yeah, you can, but it's really not made for that. We're made for speed and scalability, right? We want to basically have like you said, we have these ginormous clients that they can do 5 million errors every minute. And we're built to handle that, so we can scale to just deliver that speed for really, really large clients. And just coincidentally, it works for you as well. But in order for us to do that, we can't really create like a over-the-top UI functionality because everything is really made inside of the way that our database is designed. It's designed to scale and speed. It's not designed for flexibility. So we don't offer the same sort of analytics that say Datadog or somebody else for those reasons. But you definitely can make the metadata. You can stamp the metadata in for analytical purposes and export it out. And we have direct integrations to several analytic solutions, as well as a metric exporter, as well as those. We have webhooks and S3 buckets you can dump into. Lots of different ways for us to pipe the data in and out. We even have a CLI backend that we don't really talk about that you could technically log into and pull data out of a command line if you wanted. So we're really built like for that whole not microservices, but APIs. We have APIs that we publish.
Do you know what? It works for me. It works for my test cases, and it also works for me spying on my children. It also works for me to see because Yolan's not. Yolan, are you in chat? I gave him the copy of the build of my game, and his kids were playing it as well. So I'm able to see which of his kids liked it more than the others, because which ones went back and were playing it, and which ones weren't playing it. So it's great for that. If you give it to a few people, and they come back, you say, "How did you enjoy my game?" And they go, "Yeah, I loved it." And then you go into Backtrace and you see that they never loaded it up. Then it's great.
You're like, So there is a way for you also to sort by users. We take the information out. Here, I'm gonna show you a screen again, I think, real quick, because I stopped on that screen actually. Do you mind if I share a screen real quick?
Yeah, sure. I mean, let me hide it. So there you go. You get it ready. Make sure that you are showing what you want to be showing. I can't believe that we're already going 2 hours in on the stream, everyone. Time is flying, but yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So like here's an ability for you on this screen. When we're ready.
Oh, where's the? Hang on, there you go. There we go. That's better. Okay, so this is the native mobile demo.
So this would be better. Oh, I don't want to be on that. And here you can get an idea of all the different projects. I guess I could have been on that and just be. Okay, I'm just going to stick on this one it's the native mobile demo. You're right.
So just before you go into that, let me just ask a quick question. The cap on the number of bugs reported that is in the free tier, is that per project or is that all my projects combined?
It's all your projects combined.
Yeah.
So 25 is 25. But if we look at this screen, so there's some interesting things going on here. Let's say you're a dev tier, a smaller studio, and you have you're pounding the game, right, yourself. This is kind of what this shows. We're grouping the fingerprint here, but we're actually showing that these errors here. Well, no, I'm not. I'm misreading my own data. Let me go to the Unity demo. I'm just going to go to the screen that I want because it's here. Explore by user. So I apply this view, and this is the screen that I was trying to show. The data actually looked really familiar. But instead, we've grouped this ID, instead of by fingerprint, we're using the metadata of user ID. And so these are users. Each one of these are an individual user in our system. And here you can see that for whatever reason, these 5 users have generated 900 errors apiece.
Wow.
But the normal outside of those 5, outside of that, you're really only getting 7, 5, 5, and what? So, and we can look here, and I've added some different aggregates by here to be able to see by device models, by call stack distribution, by application version. And you can start getting an idea, like we can add another one that's like, let's see, not by application. Let's see what application distribution here. And then let's do release channel. So release channel distribution, so that you can see that these are mainly production errors, playtesting. Actually, it's going across all of them. But you can get an idea of okay, are these just QA users? Is this you in the system pounding your own game? And the majority of the users are actual playing your game, don't have this level of bugs and errors, right? Because maybe your QA department is, pushing all of these errors in, and that's not really accurate to your data. And you can actually start to filter these things out. You can say, hey, filter on this group, but you can also get rid of the group as well, so that they don't, they don't end up being in the system.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So there's also a way to do this. So let's say you have a game where you have a whale, like people that's like, you have a game where it's free to play, but people in their mobile game, they're or an influencer, right? And you want to make sure their experience is correct. You can actually give them like an institute, their own build of the game, and just put a marker in there, a piece of metadata that says, like for an influencer, as an example, and say influencer equals yes. Then you filter to influencer equals yes, and you'd be able to see who that user is.
So basically, give them the version that works.
No. But give them a version that maybe you're caring a little bit more, maybe a little bit more about, so that you can really track and focus on that person. So when that live stream comes up, no, I'm just kidding. But I do think of that moment here we talked about that privacy control. And I'm just going to switch to that screen again right here. You can see that we've enabled scrubbing, and you can build custom data scrubbers. And you can look at your configs for privacy. We care a lot about this as well. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, there's so many cool things in here. And here's that object reprocessing. If you ever do object reprocessing, I don't know why it defaults to the last hour. Generally run it for all time. That's the better thing to do. And then we do have source code integrations if you wanted to, when you need those from Unity specifically, if you want line numbers and certain things, you're going to want to integrate. And we don't actually store your code on it. We just you have like an SSH key that you use for your Git and pull it into our system. We don't store it, but we just check it in like kind of real time, if you will. So we have a source code integration. We would love more people to do this, but a lot of people are really nervous with source code. And but we'd love to put some like AI machine learning things here, over time and with source, and be able to do some suggestions for coding down the road. But that's private. That's super future. And then we have the metrics that talked about getting rid of some of the metric stuff. The alerts, like if you need to create an alert, we have all these in the system to go as well. So I just wanted to put that out there as well.
I love it. There's so much that realized. I mean, I've been using it for a while, and I've only just scratched the surface. I'm like, you're literally in the hello world.
If you want to do some crazier stuff, like see if I can get back to, how do I get back to just by fingerprint? I guess it didn't really wipe that view, but so a couple things here in this one. I talked about that call stack earlier, about how we have the ability to look at similarities inside of call stack. This is that idea where it's taking how many frames off are these errors compared to each other. And unfortunately we should have selected like 2 to compare them to see the call stack as it starts blowing out the information. But this is that similarity screen where you can start to basically add errors together if you have the call stacks off by a frame or two. So there's some, I'm deep diving now. And you have a flame graph that shows the call stacks themselves so that you can get an idea. Like, this is a really different type of crash than these crashes. But let's say you were finding ones that are similar. This is another way for you to look and to see like where they're diverging, if that makes sense.
No.
So there are other, there are other tools here. I don't even, that's basically that's a couple of the places that are like a little deeper on that side as well. And the other thing I didn't know is like you can just drag and drop this, by the way, and that just highlights particular sections. So we can just
I love it when we're learning new things together.
Zooming in. No, I mean I found that out a month ago, but I'm just letting you know, like you can do custom time frames just by basically zooming in. So if we wanted to go back, this is a good way to like say, hey, these two errors, and I said, now let's see what happens when we go to similarity. Interesting. They're not similar at all. They're really different than one another. There's almost zero similarity. They're off by 3 frames at least. They don't even start the same. So if they were similar, we could group them together right there. Is basically how we kind of handle that.
Oh man, this is brilliant. When's the next game jam? Is it next month?
That's a good question. Let's see. I don't have the answer just right off the top of my head. Let me pop in, see backtrace.io game jam. I'm not sure if you're showing.
There we go. You're safe. Don't worry.
Okay. The next game. It looks like it's. I think this is the latest result. It looks like this one says 6/25, 2021. That's not it, right?
No. I haven't developed my time machine yet. So
I mean, I know, right?
We cannot go back and participate. I wish I could. Do you know what?
I do that one.
that was the PS4.
That's the wrong even year. So, I honestly don't know when the next one is. That's. Are
we going to be able to see it on the Backtrace website? I'm assuming. Or do we have to go into the Discord?
I'm kind of surprised that I just know that in the announcement that I'm privy to, because we have these weekly meetings. They said the game jam's coming up next month. I'm kind of like trying to find the information for it right now.
Here's a link in chat for those who are trying to find the Backtrace Discord. So pop over to their Discord, say hello to them. Tell you that you came from there.
Exactly.
I came from chatting with Mac. Before we do let you go, I'm going to have to make you plug your game again.
Okay.
You have to do the plug. So
it's Fishing on the Fly on Steam, and I'll give you a couple Steam keys, and we can get people to check it out.
I'm sharing the wrong screen. There we go. There it is.
There's
on the website. And if you go to his website, did he sing "Yes, Dower, You Missed"? We sang "Row, Row, Row Your Boat" at the beginning of the stream. So I know you've been watching Eurovision. He also made Alice of the Unreal UE4.
Yeah, so that robot was super cool. I actually designed the electronics and built it. I used pieces of my dad's erector set, actually, and built the robot. I programmed my own custom serial modem in C with an Arduino, and then put a encrypted mesh network together to be able to communicate, and did edge computing like way ahead of the time that most people did edge computing. And I wish I would have patented this stuff back then. But so basically Unreal Engine runs this robot, and through the animation system of Unreal, in Unreal like 4.12 or something, all those animations are driven through Unreal into the robot, and all the events are handled. So it's pretty cool.
So where'd you learn all this stuff?
Making the game about fishing on the fly. It's I guess maybe not all of it. It does show you the chips and stuff that I built, and that was a time consuming process. I just did it did it myself over time. I don't know. I just started slowly, read through all the Arduinos, started learning, turn the lights on first, like walk through the books, the 25 steps they have you learn for Arduinos. Like that mouth, there's 3 different types of mouths on it. Each one like that has their own personality. It's like robotic cosplay in one way. And yeah, it's the Sarge, the Sentry Bot from Fallout 4. That's the one that, I basically took the canned audio files and then used them. And then I had to throw R2D2 in there because R2D2 is so cool. I'm not making any money on that. It's like Star Wars or George Lucas is going to come after me. But,
don't mess with Disney.
Yeah, don't mess with Disney. So each one of those lights actually are individually programmed frames as well, which was super cool to be able to do like an LCD type of programming for my first time. And it was just a really neat project that I wanted to make sure as Unreal Engine 3, and that I was stuck in Unreal Engine 3 for 2 years trying to finish up my game while Unreal Engine 4 was out. And I wanted to make sure that I had a fallback in case, the game did all right. It's by no means the opportunity cost of me working somewhere else. I have not made 6 figures. I've barely made 5 off of that game for 5 years. So, I mean, it's a risk, right, to do those sort of things. But I wanted to de-risk myself by showing people that I still had skills inside of Unreal Engine 4 Unreal Engine 4. So I built the robot during that time to basically help me with that.
I mean, having this robot on your CV is pretty impressive, I gotta say.
The one that's really cool is that I'm meeting so many people in the industry now, and I'm contributing to not just one game, but I'm contributing to at least 20 really, really large video games at this point in time by helping to consult with Backtrace. And it's really fun being a part of the process of all these games that I have 170 wins in Apex Legends, and now I'm part of a company that works with Apex Legends. It's just on some level, it is a dream come true on that side for me to be in this position.
That's brilliant. Oh, man. And if you haven't checked out yet, people in chat, Fishing on the Fly, here's a link again in the chat. Now, I'm going to be cheeky because you did say you let me have a couple of keys to give away a present. Should we do a raffle of somebody who's going to win a Fishing on the Fly, Mac?
Sure. Yeah, do it. Let me see. I have to figure out.
Whatever you do not share with me a link, a code or anything now, because I will accidentally show it to everyone on stream. I do that all the time. My favorite is when we've had people in the past. Doesn't happen anymore, but it happened when we first started doing these streams about 4 years ago, when we did massive prize. We've given away over the years. I think we've given away 100 grand's worth of stuff by now. But we had some people pretending to be the winners so they could claim the prizes on Discord. Which is now why people have to link their Twitch names and their Discord names to win. If anyone's wondering why we ask that, it's because we have actually had people pretending to be the winners to get their prizes.
Yeah, we have that problem as well. When we ran our game jam, we talked about it. We were supposed to announce it in one channel. We ended up announcing it in another place inside of our Discord. It's fairly large. And there was 5 of us working the event, and I was on these channels running between them, announcing it live on the stream and this and that, and it still didn't get to everybody. And somebody complained and was like, "Hey, I was in this channel." And when we announced the PS5, I think we went through 4 or 5 names before we got to a person who was like, "I'm here. I want my PS5." And I was like, "I want my PS5 too. I've been trying to get one forever. You're lucky." I don't even know how we got it, But anyways, long story short, yeah, it's kind of lame that you have trolls on the internet. It's that's lame. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't be that guy. We've got raffle started! Exclamation mark raffles in chat, just like Darry's just done now. So, go do exclamation mark raffle in chat to get your copy of Fishing on the Fly. I've never been fly fishing, and I've never been other types of fishing either. I have to say, I am so ridiculously impressed. You did, because this is before the asset stores or the marketplace. So you did all of this yourself, the artwork, the models,
all of
everything.
Everything. I used Blender, the modeling. So
That was back when Blender was evil as well. Not like the good Blender that we've got now.
Yeah, it was a challenge to get. I'd get mutilated models in sometimes, and then I'd have to do things and I mean, I can't believe the amount of time that frankly, I don't think I could do it. Again, my eyesight even isn't what it was. I spent a lot of the 14-hour days making the game, where I was up till like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just have a tremendous amount of passion for that. Like all those buffalo, all the animations for the buffalo. They're made so that they have randomizers for it, so the buffalo move around. The goal was, even if you like stopped the game and like just took film of it from like a screenshot, it would be cool because there'd be animals in the game doing stuff that's like their own custom animations. I got way too into it. Like, well, it was just super cool. It was really fun. But yeah, there wasn't a store, an asset. Those white flowers there I didn't model, but the bear there I did, all the whole background, all the levels.
You made the bear as well?
I made the bear. I made all the animals.
No way.
Yeah. Yep. And I rigged them and animated them, and I made them chromatic so that they do different things with different amounts of time. The UE animation trees were super fun. I like the animation tools inside of Unreal Engine a lot. The UI, that's the UI. It's so it's complicated as you level up. You unlock levels and designs and flies, and you can purchase them, and you get rewards. And there's 100 levels in the game. If you go to Steam, you can actually see no one's actually beat it yet, other than me. So I'm kind of waiting to see who beats it, and I might give them a prize as well. But the game becomes like really hard in the end. So the key to that, to beating this, if I can inside of this, it's like, as it gets progressively harder, you have to buy equipment to offset that. So you have to like get more rods. And then if you get stuck, there's a couple things you can do. One, you could make the game into easy mode, which would make it easier. But then you wouldn't get the Steam achievement for beating the game on hard or whatever, And so if you ever get stuck where it's like so fast because it's really speedy, you can go back to other levels and catch fish that are simpler because they're not as powerful as the fish later in the game. Or you can put the game into like today's mode. Like I put a thing into it where I wanted you to be able to go to like the Deschutes River in Oregon and fish today's date. And, so if you can't actually be there, you could be there virtually and fishing that. And those hatch charts and the probabilities of you catching a fish based on the lures and the flies that you're using, that actually is based on the date for today. Like all of that changes based on different. So like spring, summer, fall, winter, all of those have different probabilities of you catching fish with different flies and different pieces of information. So yeah, I did a talk at GDC called "Succeed by Failing." I think you could probably find if you type Matt Clark "Succeed by Failing," where I showed the hatch chart that I built in Kismet because I didn't know how to do. There wasn't JSON yet. And there wasn't really XML, and I was a web developer back then, and I used to use SQL for all the database stuff, and there really wasn't a SQL integration, so I actually plugged all of my information into Kismet in this visual scripting. And so I do this thing where I zoom out to show that visual scripting engine in the talk, and people are like, "Oh my god," because it's a nightmare. Like it's just like thousands of. It's complete spaghetti, and it's like the last thing in the world I want to be is a spaghetti coder. And I'm like, but you know what, guys? To get it done, drag that thing across the finish line. I had to make some spaghetti. But yeah, so it's interesting.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, the raffle's coming to an end. Let's see who the winner is. So if the winner, drum roll, that was a drum roll, wasn't someone knocking on the door. Dowie, the environment. Congratulations, Dowie. You've won. You're going to go fishing. Have we got one copy or 2 copies to give away?
You can give away 2.
There we go.
Backtrace pays me well enough that I don't have to worry about selling games.
Well, both Sundue and Dowie, you've both won a copy. Congratulations. You're both going to go fishing. If you manage to complete the entire game, you might be in for another prize as well. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's really hard. I'm not gonna. I gave the most hints here I've ever given to actually how to beat it. And there's a special thing that happens at the end when you beat it.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah. So
Mac, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an
yeah. Just let
absolute
me know.
pleasure.
I'll have to get the Steam keys. It'll take me a day. I'm actually in. I'm away from my other computers right now. So it's I don't put any proprietary information on my work computer because when I came on board, they were like, well, clearly, you have your own IP.
Don't
So
worry, Mac. Don't worry. They're used to waiting for their prizes, so do not.
yeah. Okay.
They're,
So I'll
they're
be
used
in
to
touch with
that.
you in a couple days, and I'll get those across for you. But it's been a pleasure.
Your people will be
Absolutely.
in touch with my people.
Yes, exactly. There we go. Thanks, Matthew.
And if anyone's trying to wonder what on earth we've been talking about today, if you're coming towards the end of the stream, we've been talking about Saucelabs, which have amazing tools that I can't live without now. Backtrace, it is possibly my favorite tool that I use in Unity. You can start using it for free up to, what is it, 25,000?
Yes, 25,000 errors for free every month, and it resets every month.
And if you make a build of your game in and you've got hundreds of people using it on different devices, well, you're going to get all of those errors coming into your backtrace logs, and you're going to find out all things that you never knew, because I did not know I was having those bugs. And also, as we've worked out, there's another marketing tool in Backtrace. You can spy on the people who are actually using your game. So if you've given your game to people and they've said, yeah, I've been testing your game, I haven't found any bugs yet, well, you go into Backtrace and you discover they haven't even opened up your game that the testers have said that they're going to be testing. So yeah, that's always good.
And the thing I would add to that real quick is, those of you that are moonlighting not as game devs, but also make other applications, either like web applications or, mobile apps. We do that as well. We're not just straight games.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Our tightest integration is Unity, but we're here to again, if I'm going to toe the company line, it's digital confidence. We want this to be something you have. When you're designing products to be able to get that into the marketplace and get those 4 or 5 star ratings.
And I love the fact that if I want to be testing on a mobile, on an iPhone or a Kindle, I don't need to go to the shops to buy one. I can go to Saucelabs, Test Fairy, and sign up and start using it. Now you got to hit try for free. Is there because you got the try for free on the Saucelabs?
That's probably again Backtrace.
Yeah, so we're gonna find out. It's gonna be sometime in the future a free tier version of the Test Fairy. Which, do you know what? I'm gonna convince my missus to allow me to buy it, a copy. What's the cheapest cost for getting Test Fairy?
I don't remember. Sorry, it's a horrible answer, but I'm a solutions engineer in Backtrace Gaming. I'm just now, honestly, to be truthful, I just uploaded my APK game today.
Am I going to need to mortgage on my house to be able to get it?
That's fair. That was we literally used this game today for me, the very first time. And that's just a part of the story. That moving forward, we have engineers that are dedicated to RDC and to Test Fairy. We're just finally starting as a company to have other solutions engineers be able to get breadth into other products. And so Test Fairy and RDC were only available to me over the last couple of weeks for me to even be able to get in. And I'm at the point where I'm watching other people do demos. In the back of my mind, I'm not entirely pleased with my Test Fairy demo today. There's another really cool tool inside of Test Fairy.
Dude, sorry man, your Test Fairy demo today has convinced me that I want Test Fairy.
Well, here's the other one. I want to demo this as well, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. We've added, not just inside of RDC, what I showed, there's another thing called Network Packet Analyzer. So let's say you have a game for like a multiplayer server and you have clients. We have a whole set of tools inside of Test Fairy and RDC for that as well. So we intercept network traffic and show you P traces, like all this other stuff that I did not demo today. But it's worth mentioning that there's a whole other set of deeper stuff there that I didn't get into. That's super cool as well. That's, from a gaming perspective, wouldn't it be nice to know if you were having multiplayer issues? That kind of stuff. We have tools in there for that as well.
By the way, I'm having a look on the website. Saucelabs pricing, live testing, manual cross-browser mobile app testing on thousands of desktop browsers, real mobile devices, emulators and simulators, $39 a month for one parallel test.
Yeah.
I
think
that.
When we were talking to some of the studios, I was surprised how cheap they get RDC for. But yeah. I didn't know the individual. Yeah, I didn't know the individual pricing.
So we need to convince the wife to allow me to get it, basically. Once I start making a project that justifies it, I can start earning some money. She'll be well up for that.
I love the making games on PC. I mean, that's my love, because I feel like I love environmental artist stuff, right? Like texturing, UV maps, all that stuff. I really like it. You know, but with mobile devices, you don't have the same graphics chips, right? But this crazy example of the studio we work with, you know, they have 250 developers working on a console game. They put like 3, you know, developers over for a mobile game. Today, that mobile game makes 80% of their money.
Wow.
You know, so that's just the sort of, you know, I'm not saying I'm a mobile developer or whatever, because I'm not, but I'm also not going to ignore an opportunity where it sure seems like, hey, you know, the world's kind of switching to mobile in terms of that. I would love to, you know, I also have a lot of clients that make console, PS4, PS5, and, you know, can get a mobile game out there as well. I mean, Unreal Engine with Fortnite, you know, they've tried really hard when they made the C++, they made it a very low level integrated game engine that's completely open source, that allows you to do builds where you can actually now, you know, say click a button and almost get a mobile build with your original build. It's not like you have to port like back in the old days. It's a really great time to be a developer in terms of the space. You know, if you do it right, you can make a game that delivers on all of the consoles and all of the devices. You know, that would be the ideal world, and then you just kind of like pick up what happens and using backtrace on the back end as each one of those, you know, use cases kind of come to market. So
I love the fact that with backtrace I'll be able to just filter exactly which of these every single device I've deployed for.
And we're the only company that does that in the world. If you want to know PS5, PS4, Xbox, if you have that tech stack and you have a mobile game sitting there, there's no other company that's going to let you see those errors across all of those platforms at once. In our console, we're the only company. That's another major competitive differentiator between us and our competition.
That's a wonderful place to end the stream on. It's like, you know, what makes Saucelabs and Backtrace so unique. There you go. No one else even comes close. And just reminding you, hey, Backtrace, it's free. You to get started. It doesn't have to cost you a penny, and you can see what it can do for you and your projects. So stick that in chat again. Mac, thank you so much for taking your time.
Matthew, it's been a pleasure. I love this kind of stuff. I really hope this helps out other developers, because that's what, you know, that's the thing, is to save people time and pain. So.
All right. Well, chat saying that was a great interview. Thanks and good night.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, buddy. You rock. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'll catch you later.
Yeah.
What a beautiful badger. I mean, I had so much fun. I cannot emphasize enough how much Backtrace has helped me. Backtrace has really made a huge difference to the stuff I'm doing. It really has. And it doesn't cost you a penny to get started. And as it says, it resets every month, your account. And I'm not making more than 25,000 euros in my project. If you want to see more of my crazy videos, click on the left side of your screen now. And down below, there's that big juicy subscribe button. And right next to it is the magic bell that if you click it, it will tell you if I've got a new video coming out. Till next time.